Welcome to this video. We're going to do AutoCAD blocks. So first we need to select something that we're going to use frequently. So I'm going to choose this voltmeter sign. It has a letter in there, which we've talked about, but so the first thing in making a block is you need to actually draw it. So let's go over to here. So I'm going to start with the circle. So I will make it 100. And I'm actually going to put I could do this on a different level, but I'm just going to draw a few lines. And then I'm going to I'll put those out 100 as well. And 180. And with the space bar, I can quickly get into, and I'll do 100 by. So now I have my shape. I'm going to come up to the top here and select my text. And I'm just going to type a capital V. So it doesn't look like anything's appeared, but you'll see it down there. So if I double click on it, I can get into the properties of it, into the text editor, and I can change it here. So I've changed it to 10, or I can go into properties, and when I click on my V, it will show me all of the properties. So I'm looking for text height, so I'm going to do 10. 10 doesn't look nearly as big enough, so I'm going to do 50. 50 is looking better. Let's do 60. So we'll shrink down the actual box, and then I'm going to move that into there. So comparing it to that, it looks like my V still needs to get a bit bigger. So I'm going to select it. So I just want to shrink down the actual box here. There we go. And now I'm going to make it, let's do it 75, see how that is. Let's make it 80. Okay, so now I have my V. So if I click on it, I can move it with that tab there. So I'm just going to eyeball into the center. So that looks nice and centered. So if I had those on a different line, I could have or a different layer, I could have just turned off the layer, but that's what my block is going to be. So it looks pretty good. So now I type block and I go into the block. So this is called block definition. So the name, so I'm going to call it a voltmeter. So now I need to define a base point and an object and look at the settings. So I currently set to millimeters, which is good. So the first thing I'm going to do is my object. What is my object? So I'm going to click this button. And that allows me to select my object. So I'm going to select everything in there, hit the space bar to complete. My base point, I'm going to specify that by clicking that. So I touch my circle and then I get my center point as my base point. I want it to scale uniformly. We won't select annotative. So that looks pretty good. I've got all the information I need. And when I click OK, this comes into the block editor. So if I want to edit it, I can edit whatever it looks like in here. So I'm going to close that. And now I've made my block. So how do I get a block? I go to Insert, and you'll see right here in my recent blocks, I've got my voltmeter. So if I click and drag, I can bring that in. And you'll notice that it's all one with that point there. So I can move them. I can add as many as I want in there. So when you select them, you can move those anywhere. So that's how you create and add a block. So that's the block command to get into the block, and then the insert command will bring up your insert blocks. Thank you.